and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. My name is Saiyami Kher, and the last time these two teams met at the Wankhede Stadium in a World Cup match, history was written. No Indian fan can forget what happened because Dhoni finished it off in style. I don't have the voice, but I tried. But well, circumstances are very different right now because India is flying high, wanting that Q next to their name. Sri Lanka, on the other hand, are just trying to survive in the tournament. We've got two very special people on this special day. Please welcome Joyda and Simon. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Just 10 days to go before the league stage ends. How are we feeling about this?
Tired. Tired with all the travel, but no, it's great. Look, I think that, there's three teams sorted, I think, the way they're playing at the moment, leading into those semi-finals. And then you're looking at Pakistan or New Zealand, I think, for the other spot. And it's nice that we've got a little bit to play for still, but I don't think anyone's going to surpass Australia, India or South Africa at this point in time. It just depends on where they finish. And if India keep winning, they'll finish at the top. It's just a matter of New Zealand and Pakistan and who plays better in the next game, I think.
Joyda, if Simon, I'm not meaning to sledge you here at all, but if India had gone through what New Zealand went through yesterday, I wouldn't be this calm person sitting here with such a stoic face. I just think Indians are very emotional. We're just very emotional people.
No, I think he said it before. In the pre-show itself, he was looking on with horror when they decided to field first. And, from that point onwards, he knew. So he was well prepared for what might happen because at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he knew exactly what is going to transpire by 10 o'clock at night. So the only reason why he's so calm is he's had plenty of time to prepare for it. And all the nice words that would have been coming out of his mouth, they're all over by now, So he's now settled. But that points table is very interesting because if you look at it, Simon's absolutely right. I mean, the top four are the top four contenders, and if you're not at the risk of being boring, they're the only four who can actually reach 12 points or more. And they're the only four. The rest can only reach 10. So what can happen out here is Pakistan can reach 10. There's one more team who can reach 10, and that had reach 12, and that is Afghanistan. Afghanistan could win all three. That would be the ultimate fairy tale in sport. Pakistan can win two and hope that New Zealand does not win more than one, in which case it will be a run rate battle between the two of them, where New Zealand, I think, is very well positioned at this point in time, because that much of a run rate difference with 7-8 matches to make in one match is not going to be very easy. If New Zealand win one, Pakistan win both, I think it's going to come down to run rate, and I think New Zealand has the advantage out there. If New Zealand drop both, that's when Pakistan really come into it, And what they have to do is, A, they must win. B is they've got to try and win big. In some ways, it's an interesting situation because if that happens, that's the only way India could be playing Pakistan in the semi-final in Kolkata. The other semi-final will go this way. So lots of permutations, combinations. But I think what it's important, if you look at the form sides, I think it's really important that India does not meet South Africa in the semis. But right now it's looking that
I don't think
second or third.
I don't think they will. I think it looks, the likely possibilities are a South Africa, Australia, and a New Zealand, India semi-final, which New Zealand always win. We know that. So that's sort of, that's a given.
That's out of the way.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of. It just depends on who we play in the final. Then I guess from there on.
Which you don't have much experience.
No, we don't.
The confidence is.
Since he's gone that far, I need to remind him how they've done in the finals.
Yes.
I was going to be nice to him till then. The way he dismissed us, I need to know.
I take it because I started with his stoicness after the loss, so I take this one. I started the sledge first, so I'll take this on my chin. But let's move to India, who hasn't been in a position who they've just waiting for that cue with this win because they've done everything right, Simon. Like I said, we are very emotional as Indians, so we can't sit back and have the stoic expression saying, all right, we are doing well, boys, that's another one, it's just another game. For Indians, every Indian game is like a do or die game. But as a neutral viewer for you, what according to you has really worked for India in the campaign? Their execution's been on point.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. I think it's probably the best balanced bowling attack in the World Cup, comfortably, now that Shami's back. They can chop and change one or two. I think moving away from the Shardul Thakur experience experiment is the best thing they could have done, going with 5 genuine bowlers, because they're all 10-over bowlers and they're absolute guns. What they do if Hardik's fit again in a game's time will be, time will tell with what happens there. The only piece of the puzzle I think they're worried about is Shreyas Iyer. That's about the only thing I can see. There's a slight little problem in that side, but everything else is just so good at the moment. They'd like some runs from Shubman. I think that's maybe the only area of slight concern, but it's not worrying them at the moment. So it's probably, it's hard to say it's the best Indian side that's been at a World Cup, because there have been great players prior to it. But as a team in general, I think it's the best bowling attack that India have been able to assemble in a World Cup. I think the best genuine 5 bowlers that they've ever been able to assemble at the World Cup. And that to me is what win you tournaments. Batters win you games and matches, but bowlers win you tournaments. And that's what India have got. They've got the best 5 across the board, I think, and that's why they've been so successful.
Well, Joyda, the bowler, has spoken. Like he said, bowlers win you the big tournaments. And this has been India's best bowling attack we've ever seen in Indian bowling history, if I can say. It's been the best bowling attack. But if we see here, India's just had so many comprehensive wins. It's not been like we've gone into close games. It's almost that start against Australia was the only one which kind of shook us. But otherwise, we've comprehensively won.
I'd say Australia, that 10 for 3 would have been a sort of wake-up call for India. I thought there were times in the New Zealand match which they ran us pretty close, and I think those were the 2 tensest moments. But if you look at it by and large, other than those 2 patches of play, India has dominated almost all the other overs or the other type parts of the game. And I think that's both good and a bit of a worry, because you've been tested, you've come through, but you've come through with flying colours. You haven't really had a really, really close match. But right now, at this stage, that's not what you're looking at. And the problem with, what everyone says is that you can play 9 fantastic league matches and 1 semi-final, 1 thing. So you're always sitting on edge, because I think at this point in time, everyone knows that India is going to go into that semi-final. But how they play on that day is going to be important. But this is a terrific bowling attack. This is very, very well-rounded bowling attack, perhaps the best we have. Also, in captaincy, because Rohit is an opener, he's also doing things for them which maybe a Dhoni couldn't do, because Dhoni would play later in the innings, which is Rohit is setting the tone for the way the team is batting. And by setting the tone, the most important thing he's batting very unselfishly, taking risks, and therefore setting an example up front, saying, I'm not worried about centuries, records, everything. I'm attacking the bowling, because if I attack the bowling will be under pressure. And therefore, he's setting a personal standard out there, which is absolutely fantastic and very important. And remember, if he was batting further down the order, he would not have had that opportunity.
It's the one thing I said in England over the summer, Joy, was my only little issue with India was, can they play selfless cricket? Can they be attacking when they need to be attacking? And Rohit has done exactly that. I totally agree. It's such a good point. Without him doing what he's done, they're unable to play the way they've been playing. And he doesn't care about the end result or the number. He just cares about what the tone is he's setting. And I think it's such a good point around not only that, but his captaincy as well.
Absolutely.
Well, Sri Lanka have won the toss and they've decided to bowl first. So we'll again hopefully see Rohit setting it up very well for Team India, which he's been doing all through the tournament. We'll have a look at India's playing 11. They've gone unchanged. And Joyda, it's always nice when the team backs a player, right? Because there have been questions raised on whether Shreyas should be playing, not be playing. But it's his home ground. He'll have friends and family watching. We saw Shreyas go into the nets and play those 45 1-hour session that he did against the short ball. So it's always good to see a team back a player.
Yeah, look, I think the most important message that comes out from that is they've thought a long time about this and they've stuck with what they feel is right, unless there's a very compelling reason to change it. I'll give you a perfect example. Shreyas, even though he's got starts, he's not done that well. But look, he's got a 53 against Pakistan. He's got against Afghanistan again, he was unbeaten. It's not that he's not got runs at all. He's got himself there, he's got into positions, but he's not managed to convert all his opportunities. Remember, there are 2 big not outs out there as well. The one point I want to tell you is that when Australia was at their peak, Brad Hodge would come in, Marquardt would be injured, Brad Hodge will come in, hit a double century. Out the next match, Marquardt comes back, because that's how it is. Because that's the spirit, the team with which we are going. South Africa, Reza Hendricks came in, hit a 75. Nice, thank you very much. Wabuwa is fit. Out you go. Similarly, India has been saying for 6 months that Rahul and Shreyas Iyer are a middle order. They're going to bat at 4 and 5. And they've stuck to it. And unless they have compelling reasons to change, they will not do that. And therefore, that is what I like about them. And therefore, Shreyas is also batting, just as Rahul is batting, with a lot of confidence, knowing that, look, this team has backed him.
True.
And I think that is what they're telling Shreyas, that we are backing you. And I think it's an important one, because I think while, we have very talented batters, I think perhaps in that middle order, Shreyas is the best player of spin. And if you're going to come across one surface or somewhere where the ball's, turning a bit and you need to do a little bit there, I think he's our best prospect.
Well, India has not moved around their middle order, but I think Sri Lanka has. They have one change. Let's have a look at Sri Lanka's playing 11. So, De Silva sits out. Simon, are you surprised that they've got Dushan Hemantha in place of De Silva? Because, there was a lot pinned on Bellalage's shoulders. Not too much experience there with Dushan Hemantha?
No, not a lot of experience. They've just had an up and down sort of tournament, Sri Lanka. They haven't really been a settled lineup. They've looked okay at times and then looked really ordinary at times. And the other day we were in, where was I the other day? I've been travelling the country so often. But, watching that game against Afghanistan, and they were really poor. They just had there was no intent in that batting innings whatsoever. And I'm really disappointed with how they just went about trying to set that target. And you just don't normally see that from a Sri Lankan side. So they've been a little bit hit and miss, a little bit up and down. I thought, they could go with 2 spinners, and I thought Bellalague was decent. He was, he's a really promising young spinner. He gives the ball some flight. He can bat as well, so he offers you a little bit with the bat. So, yeah, a little bit surprised, but I guess with them almost out of the tournament or out of the semi-final qualification, they might be just trying something different.
But Joy,
that is my point, yeah, exactly.
I mean, like an eternal optimist Sri Lankan fan would say, we know what to do, we need to win all 3. So they still are in the tournament, right? Technically.
Yeah, technically they're in the tournament. They could win, they could reach 10 and they could be on a tie break there and get through by run rate. I mean, look at that again. They win all their matches, they reach 10. And only one of Australia or New Zealand get to the 10 mark, though Australia is probably almost already there. Pakistan win only one of their remaining matches. Afghanistan win only one of their remaining matches because, of course, one is against each other. And Netherlands don't go past the 8-point mark. Look, my point is that it's a very, very long order, a very tall order. But my point again is, if India has had a weakness as a batting side in the last few years, is that we haven't played left-arm spin as well as we used to. And we used to be masters of playing against spin. We aren't that team anymore. And, I was making this point yesterday, truly, that when you're a side who's hugely an underdog, it's up to me to do something different.
Yeah.
I can't stay pat. The team that's on top stays pat. They say, okay, we'll play with our prepared combination. The guy who's down there says, look, if we play with our prepared combination, they play with theirs, nothing is going to change. I've got to do something to change. So that's what just surprises me a bit, that I would have thought that they would have done something. Just like they probably thought that, they'll put India into bat and put them under a bit of pressure.
What is that about? I mean, what are these teams doing? Honest to goodness, what are you doing? Why would you give India 350, 400 runs? I don't get that. You do that because you're scared. You're scared to go out and bat first. I mean, try and tell me that Wankhede Stadium is not a great batting surface. I mean, please. You got rocks in your head if you go out there and you give the opposition a chance to go and put runs on the board. I just don't get it.
I think the reason they're saying it is probably in the Asia Cup final, the last time they batted was they were 50 all out against us.
Yeah,
so perhaps that's
but
those scars are...
It's a negative reason,
I
isn't it?
totally
It's a
agree.
negative reason. We had a great one last night that only 9 times has the captain who's won the toss in this tournament
Got it right.
won the game. Only 9 times. So basically, you have a 70% chance of winning the game if you lose the toss.
We are very happy with this stat, Simon. All Indian fans are smiling because, who doesn't want to see Rohit set it up well? And along with Rohit, I think someone who I love watching is Shubman Gill. And I feel, Shubman Gill came into this tournament with a lot of expectations because he was doing so well, which is why he's up there on our Naukri career score. Simon and Joyda, as you all know, Cricbuzz along with Naukri.com have come up with something called a Naukri career score, in which Naukri uses his expertise to help grow careers and applies this to cricket stats. And what we see is a whole new way of looking at cricket stats, which is why Shubman is top on that list because he's been doing so well. Simon, you've known him since his under 19 days. You'd sent Harsha a message as well. So you'd spotted him very early. And are you happy with the graph?
Look, he's the best. He's the best headhunter ever. In 2018, he was telling, this is the man. This will give him a promotion immediately.
Yeah, well, look, it was just, I was just watching that World Cup in New Zealand and there's a lot of talk around Prithvi Shaw and I'd sort of gone along to the game with the preconceived idea that he was going to be the star of this Indian side when you turn up. And I sat there and I watched Shubman bat and I just thought, wow. And after watching Prithvi bat as well and get out and just that back foot that he's never fixed. He's never fixed that back foot movement that moves away to leg stump. And Shubman Gill just looked a class above. And I messaged Harsha and I said, because all the talk was about Prithvi Shaw, and I said, this kid Gill will be a far better player than Prithvi Shaw and he will have so much more success. And it was just like one of those, I don't know, it was like a throwaway comment. But I didn't discover him by any stretch of the imagination, but he is, look, he's just such a good player to watch. I mean, he's got all the attributes of a quality all-format player. Just the fact that he times the ball so beautifully, he plays a short pitch bowling well, and he's had an incredible year. And I mean, he sits on the top of that Naukri standings. I know a couple of guys are chasing him down, a couple of his teammates are chasing him down, but he's also had 2 or 3 games off with the dengue. You think about his year so far, the double 100 against New Zealand, 5 other hundreds that he's scored in ODI cricket, and he just strikes that sort of, he's got an air of confidence about him, which I really like.
Yes.
Don't confuse confidence with arrogance, because he's not arrogant by any stretch. He's just a lovely young man. And there's a lot to like about him. He's got a massive future. He's got a huge future as far as I'm concerned.
Joyda, on that Naukri career score, you see him up there. There's Rohit and Virat, but he's also up there. So there's something very, very special about Shubman, which is why he kind of tick marks and he's in the top 10 in all these 4, be it the longevity, situational performance, win contribution and consistency.
I think that's the important thing for you, situational performance. One is longevity. He's been around, he's played most of the games, and even when he went out, dengue is something that normally knocks you off. But he was back just after 2 games. So longevity is there. Consistency, 3 century in 3 formats this year. That is an unbelievable thing. In a year to have a T20 century, Test centuries, 5 ODI hundreds, that's unbelievable. Win contribution, of course, there is an advantage. He's batting up front. It always gives you an advantage. And situational awareness, again, big chases. He has that ability to adjust. And one of the reasons why he and Rohit are working so well is the fact that he adjusts his motor according to the gear Rohit is going at, and they manage to motor very well together. And I'll say the one reason that put him up on top, even above all those, if I had to look at him, is upside. So, Rohit and Virat are there in their careers. I mean, they are now at the maybe early evening, but in the evening of their careers,
Yeah.
But he is right now in the morning, he's in the glorious morning, the sun is just risen on him. And he's going to dominate Indian cricket and world cricket for a long, long time.
Well, as they call him now, the Prince. So let's hope that Prince Gill kind of consolidates Naukri career score. So we have one more tick in those boxes where India is ticking everything right. And on the other hand, unfortunately, Sri Lanka is not getting too many tick marks, right? And, they've had many spin woes, Simon, because we know Sri Lanka. They are Muralidharan's land. So what is happening to this land who's produced so many great spinners? Unfortunately, there was Hasaranga who was injured. Theekshana came in also through that injury, but they've just not managed to get their spin combination in.
No, and the conditions at home that sort of produce a lot of spin bowlers, a lot of quality spin bowlers, and also slightly different spin bowlers. When you think about Theekshana, when you think about Murali, the most conventional spinner to come out of their country in the last 15, 20 years is probably Rangan Hara, who you would see every day down at the local park, just trot 2 steps and bowl it, but landed it on a handkerchief. He was unbelievable. And the little undercutter that he developed, he was brilliant bowler. But they've just sort of struggled to get consistency. And I think that's one of the things. I think I mentioned on the show when I was here last time that I felt that Theekshana had come back unfit. He didn't look...
You did.
He didn't look overly fit when he came back. And that's part of the issue when you end up playing a lot of T20 tournaments and a lot of sort of really short format stuff. Was he fit enough to come back and play 50 over cricket? And I didn't think he looked fit enough at the start. So, when you come into a tournament in that fashion, it's not good for you. But they've got some real worries in and around that spin department.
Yeah. I mean, again, and what have you done today? That Bhattacharjya, whatever it is a classical spinner.
True.
And, Hemantha, whatever he is, he's a leggy, doesn't turn it very much, but he's not a bowler who you look around and say he's going to bowl 10 overs for you. He's going to bowl 3-4 overs, somebody else is going to bowl 3-4 overs. He's going to fill in that fifth bowler 10 over mark, or they have 3 proper bowlers and, 20 overs between 3 or 4 bowlers. But he's not the kind of bowler who, on a regular basis, you toss the ball and say he's going to give you 10 overs definitely. And that is something that worries me, because then they've actually changed the way they're playing the game. And they're trying to do with bits and pieces and say, okay, can I extend my batting? Because, he can bat a bit. He could probably bat better at this stage in his career than Bhattacharjya does. But that's, again, it's what I call a defensive approach, because you're not choosing the best bowlers to get wickets to make sure that total is going to be 100 less. You're choosing, saying that if they get 350, I'm batting till 8. Well, if they get 350, if India gets 350, whether they bat to 11 also will not matter, because it's going to be difficult for them to get there. And I think that is, for me, the problem. Sri Lanka in the last 2 years, for me, has been a team I've enjoyed because they played with a lot of spirit. Even when they lost at Asia Cup, till the point that they went and lost in the finals, they played with spirit. They managed to get Pakistan out. That is something I didn't see in the last match in Afghanistan, against Afghanistan. That's my problem.
But Simon, just a little bit more on Theekshana. You spoke about how he was not looking completely fit. He's spoken about how bowling partnerships is something that he's missed because Hasaranga is not there. And he said that Hasaranga used to be the strike bowler and suddenly that responsibility is on him now. So he's really not come to the party because Sri Lanka expected a lot more from a Theekshana, but he's not really been able to come to the party.
No, he hasn't. And look, if you need someone at the other end to make sure that you're bowling well, then you it's a bit of a problem as well. I mean, he's looking for an excuse. He's looking for a crutch to sort of grab a hold of, because he's now blaming, the fact that I haven't got a mate or my mate at the other end to work with or to help me out. Look, spin combinations, I mean, some of the greatest combinations in the world have been quick bowling combinations, or McGrath and Warne, a spinner at one end and a quick at the other end. So it hasn't been always 2 spinners. But if you need someone at the other end to help you out, then I think you're asking for too much. You've got to get your job done first and foremost. And I think, that's what Theekshana needs to look in the mirror a little bit more and just say, look, I haven't been at my best. I can't be blaming the fact that I don't have my mate at the other end. There's just the grabbing hold of things that aren't quite right from my point of view. And that creates a little bit of discontent in the camp as well.
Well, for the Sri Lankans, we just hope they get their spin into place today. And we know how India loves playing against spin, but we can just hope for Sri Lankan fans and Sri Lanka that they get their spin into order today. We've got a very interesting question that's come in on Cricbuzz Live, so we'll have a look at it. This is something that we've all, watched on social media and enjoyed it a lot. Aditya says that, wonder how much of a positive impact the fielding awards have had on the Indian team. Sorry. Those videos show a real bohemi within the camp who are enjoying themselves. Do such initiatives contribute to the teams being successful? I'm sorry. But Joyda, it's always so wonderful to see what is happening, right? Even as fans, we want to see these videos. We are seeing like these different ways in which the medals are being given.
Look, I think it's fantastic. I think they're enjoying themselves. Look, I'll tell you what, for me, the most important thing for a team, winning team, whatever little I've been around winning teams, is they're having fun.
Yeah.
They're having fun together. And so, every having fun has a theme. So, when you had one time, Chehal and this thing doing interviews, a few years back. When you're having fun with each other, something emerges which sort of stays. And this fielding awards is just one of those wonderful things that has emerged in the World Cup. And my only worry now is that what have you had so far? You've had, all the smaller ones. Then you've had it being put on the, the spider cam. Now you've had it on a laser show.
Yeah.
Now their only chance is that Shah Rukh comes and gives the fielding award in the Wankhede. Of course, the Wankhede is his favorite place, as you will know.
Today's his birthday.
It's his birthday.
A bit too much.
Yeah, but on his birthday, he just comes across and gives it, because they're upping the game every time. So either you're skywriting it, or Shah Rukh Khan is, or somebody like exactly like 2012 Olympics, somebody's going to parachute over a plane and give it to
Elon Musk flying in.
But Simon, it almost feels like the boys have started fielding much better. That Shreyas's catch or Rahul behind it's almost we've caught, where's our medal? It's this fun that they're having, but you're seeing this fun that they're having on the field when you cover the game.
Yeah, they're having a lot of fun, which is great about it. But I think, if you're looking for that sort of a reward to start fielding better, then again, I'll go back to the dictionary thing. You've got a problem. So I don't know that, I think maybe we're just more focused on it. From a broadcast point of view, we're now more focused on it because we know there's an award. It's catching.
I don't know what we're
it's
doing.
Catching. I don't know what's going on in the studio
I don't know what
today.
we're doing.
But maybe they're just a little bit more, we are as a broadcaster, just a little bit more focused on it now because we know that award is up for grabs. So we're pointing out more things a little bit as well. But any of those situations, my first team that I ever played for was a team called Counties. And our colours were black, red and white. And we used to have a dirty old size 15 work boot with a steel cap on it.
Okay.
And that was part of our Player of the Day award. And so you get dressed up in your number ones, your jacket and your shirt, and one really nice shoe, and then you had to wear this dirty old work boot. It was like a size 15. It was one of those things. So if you went out to dinner afterwards, the guy that was wearing that, he knew he'd had a good day.
Well, our boys are getting medals and they're getting them showcased all over. So let's see where it happens.
The beautiful thing about it is that today a large part of amplification of the game is social media, and these are the little moments that get picked up. And therefore, many more people have seen it than would normally do just in the part of a telecast. And I think it's good, but yeah, absolutely. You can't get carried away with just that. I mean, they're fielding well because they are. I think you just stop at saying that, yeah, they're having a lot of fun together. That bodes well for India.
Well, we spoke about Rahul and that catch he took behind the wickets, but I think Rahul, the batsman, has come into his own, and he's someone who I really admire it because he's spoken about how he had to go to a mental coach because the outside noise was really getting to him. It can get really difficult, and this is what Rahul had to say. I've put a lot of effort into this. I thought the outside noise won't affect me, but in the last year, it started affecting me. There's specialist mental coaches that you can really use and can work with if you feel that it will help. So that really helped me being away from the game. Joyda is just, they have so much pressure they go through. We've spoken about social media and the pressures they have, but Rahul just, come above this and become a much better person and player.
See, firstly, it's much tougher for players because most of them, let's face it, Indian players do not have a normal life because you've played to a certain age. Suddenly you just keep playing camp with 10 days at home. They'll spend 300 days on the road. Suddenly they're playing for India. Suddenly they're stars. They have zero amount of training in mental health, understanding, and they do not lead normal lives. Let's not pretend that Indian cricketers who play international cricketers lead normal lives. They don't. Within that, one of the things that keeps them normal and happy is the fact that when you play, pheromones you expend, it makes you feel happier. So what happens to a lot of players is when they get injured and they cannot exercise, they cannot gym the way they cannot play. Most importantly, you're taking away the game.
Yeah.
They really find it difficult. Therefore, for him to go there, it must have been really, really difficult because the injuries lasted a long, long time. And I think that's where he did the smart thing. And I think it's so smart to seek help because I think we make such a big deal of it. I mean, if I have a fever, I can go to a doctor. If I am not feeling depressed, why can't I go to a doctor? Why is that a stigma? And I think people like him saying it out loud and saying that this is fine is, I think, fantastic for both the game and for people like Rahul and for young cricketers looking and saying that it's okay. Once in a while, you will get depressed. There is a way out. There is help on the way. Here's a line you can call. And that's fantastic.
Simon, you know the pressures of international cricket, and of course as an Indian, like I've spoken about how emotional the fans are, but there's so much pressure as an international cricketer, and Rahul has gone through so many ups and downs in the last year, 2 years, so just to come out stronger speaks, very highly of what Rahul is as a person.
Yeah, and what he's been through as well, and he's probably one of those players that is probably chastised a little more than he deserves at different times for some of the way he plays. He's held teams together at different times with Kings.
Exactly.
in the IPL, you think about things like that. I mean, he's tried to hold teams together at different times. Now, the thing about the outside noise is you're always going to get it, and sometimes it comes from a good place. A lot of times it comes from a bad place. It just comes from someone who loves someone else will be negative towards you. Because that happens in this country a huge amount. I mean, you have a Rohit side and a Virat side. I mean, there's the hatred on either side. I just can't understand it. They're both great players. Just accept that fact. Yes. But there's hatred there. And there's also this sort of hatred for KL if he does well from certain... It's bizarre, you know. So there's a lot to put up with in this country that you know, most other countries don't have. I mean, Kane Williamson can walk down the main street of Auckland or Tauranga or anywhere and people will go, oh, there's Kane Williamson, and let him go into a coffee shop and have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. These guys can't do any of that. No. They cannot possibly. They can't walk 5 metres outside their front door. So there's an enormous amount of pressure. I admire KL for what he's done and for coming out and speaking about a tough battle and things he's gone through because, you know, we're men. We don't talk about that stuff. We don't do it. And I think it's very admirable for him to do it in a country where he is held on a pedestal by so many people. To be able to come out and say that, he's a real inspiration to young men, young boys all over this country, I think.
Well, he's been the backbone of our middle order. I'm hoping that we see a big one from Shubman and from Rohit because India is batting first. Before we get to KL, I'd like to see big ones from our openers. And of course, before we go, we have to go to the two important things we do on Cricbuzz Live. And I'm always very happy when Joyda is in the house. So I don't have to read his questions and it's all Joyda to read and answer and explain.
Okay. In which specific domestic cricket list is Rohit Sharma the first, Rajat Bhatia the third, and Rituraj Gaikwad the most recent? Again, a hint for everybody. Yes. Yeah, this answer could change in the next 7 days.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, that's gotten us.
No, the answer could, I mean, yeah, the question couldn't change in the next 7 days.
Yeah,
okay, that's gotten us thinking. I'm sure by the time we think, we have a whole lot of answers that come in onto Cricbuzz and onto our Twitter and everywhere. So please write in. And now we'll do with the most important thing at Cricbuzz Live, which is the prediction game, which we got completely wrong yesterday. But today, because we've got a solid pitch reporter with us in the studio. So I think let Simon go first so he can give us a headway as to where it's going to be.
I haven't seen the surface at Wankhede yet, but look, India are just far too good. And the Sri Lankan attack outside Madhushankar, I think, is below par. I'm going to say first innings score of 386.
Ooh. Not a toss that they should have given India to bat, but enjoy that.
I'm going to be conservative, 340.
Conservative,
That's conservative.
340. Yeah, I'm going to be safe and go in middle. So there's 386.
No, come on.
No, we have to take it for the team, right? 10 each. So I'll go with 365.
Lovely.
Yeah, I think we're nice and covered from everywhere.
There's a first ball boundary, by the way. So you want to change?
No, I'm good. With 365,
400,
we'll play.
400's on? No?
It could be.
Okay.
It could be on very much, but I think we'll stick to this. I don't think we should. I think what we should do now is get Joyda, who is a professor in everything. He knows medicine and he knows history, geography, maths, everything. We'll use his medicine expertise to get Simon and me some kada. Maybe you can make us something and we won't be coughing in the mid-match show. So we will go and do that. But we'll hopefully come back without a cough at the Cricbuzz com box. So we'll join you at the 15th over point. That's all for now.